Really going to get into a lot of showing that one side is equal to another side or simplifying today, but we will soon. This is an example. All right, let's say that you know that the secant of u is equal to -3/2, and you know that the tangent of u is greater than 0. What I want you to do is use these identities to figure out the rest. Find all 6 trig identities. You already know one of them, correct? Which one do you know?
The secant.
You're right. We do actually know 2 of them. We know this one, and we know the reciprocal of it. Yeah, we know the cosine. Good. So remember, secant and cosine are reciprocals of each other. Okay. So what I would like you to do. This is how I organize these when I work through them. I write down on my paper. Okay, the sine of u, the cosine of u, the tangent of u. And then over here, right next to them, I write down the reciprocals of them. So I'm going to leave myself some space so I can work with these a little bit. And over here, I'm going to have the cosecant of u, I'm going to have the secant of u, and I'm going to have the cotangent of u. I'm going to write down what I know. I know the secant, so I go over here to secant and I write down -3/2. And then I fill in anything else that I can.
Is it supposed to be like a square root of -3/2?
Nope, it says -3/2. Nope. So in other words, the angle that we're working with, this u value, is not one of the 30 degrees or 60 degrees or 120. It's a different angle. Okay, what else do we know? If the secant of u is -3/2, what else do we know?
The cos is -2.
Yeah, we know that the cos is -2/3 because these two things are reciprocals of each other. All right, now what I would like you to do is go to your unit circles, and I want you to figure out what quadrant we're in. What quadrant are we in? We know that the cosine is negative. We know that the secant is negative. But we also know that the tangent is greater than 0, which means it is positive. So where is the secant value negative and the tangent positive? I think it's quadrant 3. All right, so I'm going to make a little note of that over here. So I know that I am working in quadrant 3. So go to quadrant 3. What is the sine value in quadrant 3? It's negative. So I'm going to put a little negative sign there, because that's going to be useful information. What about the cosecant? It's also negative. What about the tangent? It is positive, so if you want to, you can put a little plus. Or you can just not write anything, because you know because the negative is not there, it's going to be positive. What about the cotangent? It's also going to be positive. All right. So now what we need to do is go through and figure out, well, what are these things? Now, that's when the identities come in handy. Now, you could go to your unit circle, or not to your unit circle necessarily, but you could go through and draw your little reference triangle. Remember drawing those things last semester? You could do that, but the direction that we're heading right now is to start using identities. So on the test, I'm going to be looking for things like the identities that we've been working with. Now, I recognize that I know that the cosine of u is -2/3. What I would like you to do is use that. I want you to use that value to try to figure out some of the other things that we're missing. I do know this. I know that the sine squared of u plus the cosine squared of u is equal to 1, correct?
Yeah.
All right, of this right here, what do I know?
Cosine squared?
You know cosine, correct? So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to write down, okay, well, the sine squared of u, you probably want to write this down,
Wait.
plus the cosine value is -2/3. So I'm going to replace my cosine value with negative 2 over 3, square it, that's equal to 1. And now I'm going to go through and figure out what's sine. What is the sine value then? Alright, so we have the sine squared of u plus, what is this? You're going to have to know how to square this fraction. What is 2 squared? 4. What is 3 squared? 9 is equal to 1. We need to figure out what is the sine squared. So what am I going to do with this? Subtract 4 ninths. Now, I know you all hate fractions. But you know what? This is so easy to do on your calculator. You just type in 1 minus 4 divided by 9. Get an answer. I believe you get 5 over 9. All right, so the sine squared is equal to 5 ninths. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you what?
Then you what? Then you what?
Oh, I thought you
Oh,
squared.
she said that's how you find it. I said, yeah. So you take 1 minus 4 ninths. You get 5 ninths. What's wrong with this, though? It's squared. It is. It's the sine squared. I don't want sine squared. What do I want? One sine. So you're going to take the square root of this. You're going to take the square root of this. Well, the problem with this is that 9, what is the square root of 9? It's 3. So this is really the square root of 5. We leave the square root of 5 under the radical because 5 is prime. Exactly. What is the square root of 9? 3. We're done.
Ooh.
So the sine value is the square root of 5 over 3. So I come over here. But you know what? What kind of number is it?
A negative.
Negative. Because we're working in quadrant 3. And we know in quadrant 3 the sine values are negative. So we have the square root of 5 over 3.
So then we flip it.
Yes. So now that we have this, So we flip it. So now we have 3 over the square root of 5. But now we're back to having to rationalize the denominator. Very good. So we have to get rid of that square root on the bottom. So I'm going to multiply by square root of 5 or the square root of 5. So we have negative 3 times the square root of 5 divided by what?
5.
Yep, these two things multiply. Give me 5. So now we have cosecant value also.
Do that to show that work.
So are you able to go right from this to this? Then that is fantastic news. No, I don't need to see that. No. And now it's on tape too. So you can say what you said.
What the other stuff?
I would. Oh, all that stuff I had over here that I had to erase. That I would need to see. Yeah. Okay. Tangent. You gotta find tangent.
Oh,
You
God.
do sine divided by cosine.
Excellent. We need to take the sine value divided by the cosine value.
You're so
Yes. So
smart.
take this divided by this because one of our identities. Where do we? I had it over here and I already erased it. It's called the quotient identity. The tangent value is equal to the sine value divided by the cosine value. So the tangent, I'm going to write down the sine value, which is this. Negative square root of 5 divided by 3 divided by the cosine value, which is a negative 2 divided by 3. Now, we talked about this last semester. When you have a fraction divided by a fraction and the denominator is the same, they just cancel right out. And what we have left is this negative square root of 5 divided by negative 2. Well, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. You already knew it was going to be positive anyway because you had a little plus sign here. So this is equal to the square root of 5 over 2.
All that work.
All that work.
That is cheating.
All right, now what are we going to do to this?
Flip
We're
it.
going to flip it. So this now is equal to 2 over the square root of 5, and I guess you guys are getting pretty good at this, and you're able to do the math in your head. I'm going to write it down anyway. 2 times the square root of 5 is 2 square roots of 5. The square root of 5 times the square root of 5 is... Can you stop it, please?
Sure.